Imagine this. You're doing everything by the book. You secure a remote job, put together a thick folder of documents, pay for translation and apostilles. Your child is already taking Spanish classes, and in your head, you're practically already living in Barcelona. And then a letter arrives from the consulate. Your visa is denied. There is no clear explanation, just a standard phrase about not meeting the requirements, leaving you completely in the dark about what actually went wrong. The most frustrating part isn't that the rejections happen, it's that the official instructions barely explain why they actually occurred. On the consulate website, everything looks simple. Here's the document checklist, here's the minimum income. But the actual decision is made by a different agency, the Unit for Large Enterprises and Strategic Groups in Spain, known as the UGE. And the UGE isn't impressed by a beautifully formatted resume. They look at whether your documented life actually aligns with the purpose of this specific residence permit. Watch this video to the end. I'll break down exactly what the UGE checks in practice, why rejections happen, and what you can do in advance to make your application much stronger. This is especially important if you're relocating with your family and can't afford to experiment with your immigration status. For over 15 years, our company has been guiding clients through relocation, business immigration, and real estate investment. We support our clients every step of the way, from their very first residence permit to permanent residency and citizenship. Let's start with a quick overview of the program itself, and then we'll move on to the reasons for rejection. The so-called digital Nomad visa in Spain is actually a residence permit for those who work remotely for a foreign employer or foreign clients. In the law, it's called the Residencia para Teletrabajadores de Carácter Internacional, the residence permit for international teleworkers. You can apply in two ways, through a Spanish consulate in your country of legal residence, or directly from within Spain if you're already there legally. If you go through the consulate, you first get a national visa stamped in your passport. And then, once you enter Spain, you exchange it for a residence card, usually valid for up to 1 year. If you apply directly from Spain to the UGE, upon approval, you receive a residency card valid for 3 years right away. If you have a family, a spouse, children, and sometimes dependent parents, they can be included in the application as family members. And here's an important detail that many miss. The main applicant, the Nomad, is required by the program's rules to earn the majority of their income from abroad, with no more than 20% of their total income coming from Spain. However, a spouse who comes as a dependent gets the right to work in Spain without this restriction and can be hired by any Spanish employer. For many families, this is a highly convenient setup. One partner keeps their overseas remote job, while the other builds a career in the social market. In terms of employment format, you usually fall into one of two categories. Either you're an employee of a foreign company with an employment contract and a salary, or you are a self-employed professional, known as an Autonomo in Spain, with contracts with foreign corporate clients. Each format has its own specific set of required documents. If anything seems unclear as you watch, let me know in the comments which topic you'd like me to cover in more detail. Now let's move on to the most crucial part, why applications get rejected. First and most common reason is a weak paper trail for your work and income. Many people think, I have a contract and money in the bank. What more do you need? But the UGE looks much deeper. If your contract was signed just a month before you apply, it's a huge red flag that it was created just for the visa and doesn't reflect genuine, established employment. If your invoices or payslip don't match your bank statements, the inspector will just start asking questions. And if all your clients are dozens of individuals rather than companies, it becomes much harder to prove anything convincingly. What really works is a coherent chain of documents. A contract with your employer or key clients, a visible history of cooperations over several months, invoices or payslips, and a bank statement showing those exact amounts coming from those exact payers. Plus, basic documents about the company itself, registration, website, proof of actual operations. When all this is logically connected, your file looks like the story of a real person, not just a stack of paper thrown together in 3 days. The second reason is issues with proving your qualifications. By law, you must have either a relevant university degree or at least 3 years of documented professional experience in your field. Many people just attach a resume and a reference letter from a former employer. That's not enough. You need official documents, social security records from the country where you worked, tax certificates, and contracts covering the required years. All degrees and certificates must be apostilled if necessary and translated into Spanish by a sworn translator. In Spain, this is a traductor jurado, a specialist registered in the official registry of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. A regular translator doesn't meet these requirements. Another typical problem. Your degrees say you're an economist, but your contract suddenly lists you as a senior IT developer without proven experience. The UGE will spot this instantly. Your story must be logical, and you must prove you generally have sufficient experience. The third reason is formal errors in the documents. It sounds basic, but a huge number of applications fail because of this. A police clearance certificate is expired or missing an apostille. A translation wasn't done by a foreign translator. The health insurance is just a standard travel policy with a deductible and territorial limits, rather than comprehensive medical coverage for the entire duration of the residence permit, with no out-of-pocket costs from an insurer authorized to operate in Spain. For the UGE and the Consulate, these are simple technical grounds for rejections, even if you are essentially the perfect candidate. The fourth reason involves cases where the applicant is a sole owner and director of their company and is simultaneously applying as its remote employee. In such situations, the Spanish immigration authorities ask a simple question: are you really coming as a remote worker, or are you actually relocating the management of your business to Spain? In the latter case, your format is no longer the digital nomad residence, but business immigration, which has different rules and requirements. Such borderline cases are often sent back for revisions or rejected outright, based on the true nature of the activity. Now for the good news. Everything I've just described is not a deal breaker. Most reasons for rejections can be fixed. If you build a solid work history in advance, put together a strong package of documents regarding your company or employer, carefully check the formal requirements of your specific consulate, and clearly understand the status you are applying under as an employee or as self-employed, you put yourself in a completely different weight class. Your file lands on the UGE inspector desk not as a questionable case, but as a properly assembled application from someone who understands the rules. And if right now you're thinking, okay, I get the general logic, but I still can't see where the weak spot is in my specific situation, this is exactly the moment when it makes sense to seek targeted help. If you want a personalized strategy for your case, you can book a consultation with our plan team. We will analyze your situation in detail and show you how to strengthen your dossier even before you apply.